before we get into the show, can you tell us a bit of your background and how you developed a passion for acting?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised here. My parents are very normal people, not like zero ties to the industry whatsoever. Like
Mhm.
my dad's an insurance agent. My mom works for a university. Like very normal
Right.
suburban life. But I've always been like kind of a performer. I've always loved like the performing arts. Since I could talk really, I was always jumping up on tables and singing and dancing and like reciting lines from a movie or whatever. And my parents knew that I loved this stuff, but they didn't really know how to like get me somewhere where I could use that avenue. And I've always loved cars. So my dad took me to the LA Auto Show when I was really young. I was 5 years old. And we were approached by this lady who was like advertising her acting studio. And she gave us the whole spiel like, oh, I can make your kid a star, like enroll him in these classes. So my parents were really reluctant at first. And then I like really begged them and pleaded. And finally they caved and enrolled me. And then after a few months, I auditioned in front of a talent agent and got my first commercial and print agent. So I started out doing national TV commercials and like print jobs for Target, T-Mobile, that kind of stuff. And then when I was like 8 or 9 years old, my mom found my manager, who I'm currently with still to this day. And I signed with him. And since then, I've been doing film and television.
So you've been in the industry for like a good amount of time now, by now.
Yeah, pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
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 Amazing.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess one of my questions is kind of like how, if you have noticed, like since you first came into like now, I know you were like younger when you kind of first got into it, but have you noticed any shift in the way things are done or shift in the way like the culture is around the industry?
Absolutely. I was just telling my friend Austin last night that I've never been more excited to be a part of this industry. Since I was little, I've auditioned and I've worked and I've been really grateful for the opportunities that I've had, but I've never really been able to play a character that authentically represents my own heritage before. I've always been cast as Latinx or ambiguous, or they give me some generic last name. And,
Yeah.
I've always, been a Diego or a Pablo or whatever. This is the first time I'd ever been cast as something that, I could actually relate to and bring my own life experiences into. And I'm seeing now within like the last year and a half or so a rise in people of color becoming filmmakers and making content that accurately represents like the majority of America instead of just the white majority. And to be a part of the industry right now in this instant like is so exciting to me, because not only am I playing characters and seeing breakdowns for auditions and stuff for people who look like me but I'm also seeing, so many people who are excited and ready to make that change in Hollywood. So I've really to answer your question, yes, I have seen a change, and it's only been recently. And I've really never been more excited to be an actor, to be in this industry, be a part of that change and that shift.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like as a writer in the industry as well, I really think that we're heading in the right direction. And it's really good that shows like Love, Victor is changing the narrative, leading us to the right path to actually telling authentic stories that, have been kept in the dark for so long.
And it's just so exciting to get to finally be able to tell that another side of that story. We've heard Simon's story, we've heard Victor's story.
Yeah.
And now we get to see another person's perspective. So piggybacking off of what you said, it's been a really exciting time as someone who's half Filipino, half Iranian, and seeing, people making stuff for Iranian people. And then I just read, I've worked with this one director and creator, Gloria Calderon-Kellett, who is like pioneering and paving the way for Latinx filmmakers and actors right now. and she just teased that she's like developing a TV series about Filipinos, and I've never seen that before, and that's so exciting for me because like
Exactly.
finally, like 16 years later, I've been in this industry and I'm finally seeing my own representation. You know, it's just really cool.
It's good you said that. I'm also Filipino, so that's good to hear.
My pride.
That's amazing. Represent, you know?
Exactly.
Represent. Yeah. So just to get into the show, congratulations on the success of it. We're heading into season 2. So why did you want to be involved in this project in the first place?
I've always been a fan of Love, Simon, and like I actually auditioned. I've talked about this in other interviews. I auditioned for season 1 of the series, so I've always been really excited about this show. I never really thought I'd be a part of it after I went through the whole audition process last year, and I didn't hear anything. Well, I did hear it. I didn't get it. But to see that they were, you know, interested in me and like they knew who I was from my audition process in the past, and like I had a good connection with casting. I've read with them before. Like they knew my backstory, and they knew who I was and where I came from. And then all of a sudden, you know, Love Victor season 2 started up, and the writers' room started, and they had this part that I guess was perfect for. I don't know. And yeah, I was really, really, really excited when I heard that they wanted to see me again, to audition me again. I was like, this is great. This is my chance. So yeah, I was really excited to join the cast and to join this series.
I mean, not only were you a part of it, like you're like a major part of the second season. And, you know, right when you come into it, you immediately kind of like, you know, grab the scenes and like it's becomes very apparent like that your story is going to be very important moving forward. And I guess my question is like, it's already, you know, already had season 1 and it had Love, Simon before, and it kind of already had like a really big and strong cast. How did you feel like entering into something like that already has like all these established characters, and like how you're going to find your way and like make your impact on the show?
Yeah. To be honest, I was a little nervous at first because it's always nerve-wracking coming onto a show or a project that had been shooting, or there had been, you know, kind of like a family dynamic already established.
Yeah.
And to be like one of the new characters, the new kids on the block, you know, so to speak, I was nervous to see how they would receive me. Because in this industry, like people can become very territorial and just, you know, not very friendly to guests on a show. I've been a guest dozens of times on shows before, and you know, we don't always get treated very nicely by the main cast. But this was different. This was completely different. Everybody was really excited to have me a part of their team, and they really welcomed me with open arms. I've become so close with all of them, partly because we had to like quarantine together for 6 months.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At work and home. So I am grateful for the pandemic in that sense, that they brought, you know, the cast has become a lot closer because of that. And so yes, I was a little bit nervous starting out, but everyone's amazing. Everyone's so beautiful and just so welcoming, and I couldn't imagine not having any of them in my lives now. Like we're so close, all of us are.
Were there particular moments on set were like super memorable, or like you always remember?
Yeah. Well, this was a first for me. I've never sang before for a show, or really like, I mean, you know, I've done karaoke. I've done the Filipino karaoke nights or whatever.
I know that. Yeah.
But I've never like professionally recorded a song before. So, you know, going to the studio and singing with Michael and like laying down the track or whatever.
Yeah.
It was really fun for me. It was really new. That was probably one of my highlights of this season. I'd say like a fun memory, I'd say, instead of like an experience, would probably be when we were, Michael and I were shooting episode 9, and we were on location in Highland Park, Los Angeles. It was this really cool street with a bunch of shops and stuff. And we were in the middle of shooting, and then like the AD was like, okay, you guys can take a minute and go back to holding, and we'll call you when we're ready again. We were finishing the setup and setting up for the next shot. So we were like, oh, okay, so we have a little bit of time. We saw this like vegan donut shop on the way to set. So Michael and I, we weren't supposed to do this because we were technically under like quarantine or the COVID restrictions. We're not supposed to like set, but
Yeah.
we snuck off set and we bought like 7 dozen donuts for the casting crew, and we ran it back like within 5 minutes. We called them. We're like, we're gonna order 7 dozen donuts, like, but we'll be there in like 20 minutes. And they were like, okay, cool, we'll have it all ready for you. So we ran like maybe half a block. Like the crew was like, where did they go? And we just ran, got the donuts, brought them back, and everyone was just so excited and happy. Like, it was a really stressful time shooting during a pandemic, and everybody was kind of like under a lot of pressure, and we just kind of wanted to put a smile on their faces. And I think we did. So mission accomplished.
I mean, if you're gonna skip out on work, you better come back with at least some donuts or something. So
right? They're
can't
vegan
be too bad.
They were vegan, yeah. They were so
vegan.
Good. Yeah.
All right. So can you give us a sneak peek of what we can expect from season 2 for those who haven't seen it? And what did you love about filming this season?
So season 2, it's a year later where, the cast or the characters are growing up and maturing, and you can definitely see a lot of more mature themes going on in season 2. And I'm just excited for people to see like this coming of age story of all of the Creekwood kids. They're no longer like, they're gearing up towards the end of their high school career. There's new relationships, there's love triangles, there's twists and turns. I would say this season's definitely a lot more spicy than season 1.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
I agree. And what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
So what did you love about filming this season?
Okay.
What makes it different from the other shows that you've worked on, and just basically what did you love about filming with your castmates and filming this story, bringing this character to life?
Well, for one, I love that I'm playing a character that really helps people and makes people feel represented. That's really any artist's dream, especially in this industry. I've always played characters that were kind of like the side character, never really had a plot line, just there. So to be able to finally like kind of flex my skills a bit and to really sink my teeth into something more of more substance has been really a treat and such an amazing honor to be trusted with the story. But I would have to say my favorite thing about being on the show is the relationships and friendships that I've made with the cast and the crew. Like, we really are one little family, and it's really not like any other show that I've been on before. Mm-hmm. So that's really, I'd say, my favorite part about being on the show.
Yeah, okay. It really shows on the screen.
Yeah, so. I thought so too. And it's like, it's really rare to have a cast that has on and off screen chemistry like we do. And it's just such a blessing and so special. And I will cherish that forever.
Yeah.
Would you say this is your biggest role to date?
I mean, biggest in the sense that it will be and has been seen by more people than any other project that I've done. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And biggest in the sense that it definitely holds more weight in terms of, representation and, mm-hmm. The story that it's telling, Raheem is telling, is so much more important than really many of the stories that I've told in the past. So mm-hmm. I guess, yeah, I would say this is one of my biggest roles to date.
Cool. And I guess season 2 is out and people have already been watching it and talking about it. I guess, how has the response been? Like, how do you think people have received it? And are you happy with, the responses that you've been getting so far from it?
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of messages from people who have told me that Raheem or Love Victor has helped them in their own lives personally. And people just saying like, thank you for playing such an authentic character. Thank you for representing me. And I kind of expected, not to sound like that, but like I kind of knew that it would have an impact on people. But I had no idea like how exponentially grateful people are because of it. And it's just really something so magical and special to me that I get to, tell a story that genuinely helps people. And people look forward to seeing my character on screen because they feel heard and they feel seen. People who had been fans of the show before but had not felt represented yet, and until my character showed up. So yeah, I forgot the question, but I feel like that answered it.
Yeah, I mean, that was my question. I was like, kind of what the response has been, and how do you feel about it, and like how.
Yeah, I mean, there have been like a lot of people who don't like my character because of that there is pride thing. But that is to be expected. People are territorial of the characters that they love, but I just hope people understand that, actors also have feelings and,
True.
not responsible for the plot lines of the show, and that we are not our characters as well. You can put that in there if you want.
Yeah, I guess I also read, the lead actor, Michael, he also came out recently and talked about not every response has been the most positive. He's gotten it from both sides. And I guess, how do you feel about that? I don't know if you've seen any of his comments that he's recently made about, how people have come out negatively towards what he's done in the role or anything like that.
I think it's unfortunate, seeing as how our show is about love, and people take the internet a little too seriously or not seriously enough. I think people, I love talking about my opinions with friends, strangers, anybody about shows and movies that I love. Because I know other people's opinions would be different. That's one of the reasons why I love doing that, is to get other people's perspective. And I think it's healthy to have those discussions and to talk about shows that you're excited about. I think that's all great and awesome. But we have to remember that, the people behind these characters are people, and they do have feelings, and they do see the messages, whether they respond or not. Like, it's there and it's been said, and it's going to be on the internet forever. And I think it's really important that people kind of take that and understand that, again, we're not responsible for, where the story goes. We're just the storytellers. We're given a script and we're expected to act and to portray that script on television. And I get that, people have strong feelings about these things. I totally understand that. I do too. But we just have to remember to keep things kind, keep things nice, because Michael is such a talented and amazing actor. And I don't think anyone could play Victor better than he does. And I understand where people are coming from about the whole, queer characters should be played by queer actors thing. I get the frustration, but I feel like at the end of the day, if the story is being told and the story is being told accurately, and the people behind the story are people of the LGBTQ community or whatever community you feel like you're representing in whatever content you're putting out, I feel that as long as that's happening, as long as the stories that are being written, that are being told, are authentic, it shouldn't matter who the storytellers are. And that's just my opinion on it. I send all my love to Michael, and I'm so sorry that that's happening, but it's happening. And that's kind of like what we signed up for, is to be the punching bag for some people who are really passionate about these shows. But at the end of the day, if people are so upset with our performances, that means we did a good job. So I'll leave it at that.
I mean, I think shows like this, that take these big topics, that tackle these big issues, that, social issues that people have experienced and are experiencing, like you said, they do open the door for conversations. And I guess some tough conversations. And I don't know if it's personally opened any doors for you, like any personal conversations in your life after, filming a show like this or being involved in a project like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm having people from high school I haven't talked to in years, messaging me and calling me, and people who I didn't think that were supporters of the LGBTQ plus community, who have seen the show and whose opinions have changed because of it. I just love that, like, I'm doing something, we're all doing something that is opening a conversation and is changing the way people think or view things. Another thing that I've talked about to people is that I love that Raheem is entering the show as a love interest for Victor, because we don't see a lot of queer people of color, interracial couples like that on television and film.
Exactly.
I think there's something to be said about white marketability, and that a lot of studios feel that it's easier to cast a white person to play a queer person because, you know, it makes people, or they think the audience is more comfortable with that. And it's unfortunate, but I love now that, you know, studios are taking chances, taking risks now. You know, I'm really grateful to 20th Century for, you know, giving me this job, giving me this opportunity to show people that you don't have to be white to be loved. And I think that's really important for other people to see. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's true. I totally agree with that. And on that note, can you tell us more about your character, Raheem? And were there instances in your life that shaped the character, or how did you bring the character to life?
Yeah. As you know, I'm half Iranian, and Raheem comes from an Iranian Muslim background.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited to bring some of my own life experiences and my own, you know, thoughts and way of thinking to Raheem, because I felt like it would be, you know, relatable for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had conversations with my dad, who's from Iran, and my family members and other people who are from Iran, and I get, like, being queer in the Muslim community is not talked about at all. It's actually very taboo, and it's really, a lot of people can be persecuted for it.
Yeah.
So, like, me being able to bring that and talking to my dad about like who he's talked to and the experience he's had in Iran and stuff, it really made it a lot easier to put myself in Raheem's shoes. But yeah, so Raheem is an Iranian Muslim kid at Creekwood who is, you know, at the start of his coming out journey. And what that entails is, you know, some pushback from his parents and, like, a lot of fear of coming out because of where he comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the season, you'll see that Raheem really opens up into his own. And I think that a lot of that's due to Pilar kind of, like, pushing him in the right direction and stuff. But yeah, Raheem has a beautiful coming out story this season. Love Victor. And I'm just excited for people to see it and hopefully relate to it or take something from it.
That's true. I totally agree with that. Like, I don't want any spoilers, but yeah, your journey was pretty amazing over the season. Your character arc was great. And I just want to ask you, what do you think makes this story different from others? How do you think this story will change and sort of make an impact in society?
Love Victor, I mean, it already has, and it continues to make an impact in society. I love Victor because it's different than a lot of the shows that we've seen or movies that we've seen. Like, Love, Simon was about a white boy and how his coming out story was relatively easy, and he had the support and respect of his parents and peers, and it wasn't really as hard as it is for a lot of people, especially people of color. So that's why Love Victor is so special and so amazing, because it shows the different perspectives of your coming out story from different people, from people who aren't white. And I just think that's really important. And I think that's so crucial for, especially for young people, young queer people of color, in today's world, like, to see, you know, someone who looks like you on TV, who talks like you, who acts like you. I think that's where Love Victor differs from a lot of other shows or a lot of other, you know, queer content that we have out there, because yeah, Love Victor is a comedy, but it's also, it talks about, like, really serious, like, family matters and personal things and financial stuff that, like, a lot of comedies don't touch on. usually. They like to keep it light. But Love Victor really pushes the boundary that way, while still maintaining a light tone for the most part. But you get to see like real people problems and real people solutions to those problems. I think that's where Love Victor differs from other TV series or shows or movies that are about queer people. Like, I think this is really cool because not only are you seeing Victor's perspective, but you're seeing Benji's side of things. You're seeing Raheem's side of things. You're even getting to see Lucy and Lake like teasing, a potential bisexual relationship between the two of them. Like, it's really, really cool that we are telling all these stories so like very different, but all rooted in the same thing. That's why I think Love Victor is different, and I might be biased by saying this, but better than a lot of other shows on TV.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I haven't seen personally like Love, Simon before this, and I wasn't, I didn't watch like a ton of dramas and all that, but I did watch this show and check it out. And, I guess what struck out to me is, like you said, about all the multitude of different issues that it touches on. Like, it's not just a queer show. It's also talks about family, and it talks about, parents and a child's relationship. And it talks about, all those things that happen within people's lives, and like that, you might not see on the surface. And then I love how, like, for specific characters, you might get the surface level, but then like later on in episodes, you get to see deeper, like behind them, and like all the character development that they do on the show. So I really like applaud the writers from this show specifically.
Yes. Brian
bringing out these
and Marcos Lubanos. They're I love them so much. They write magic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be tough to juggle all those issues, but I think that you guys pull it off like extremely well.
Yeah. And that's credit to the writing team and the writer's room. Seriously, they work day and night to make sure that we're bringing authentic stories to the table. And they've done it really flawlessly, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching with my girlfriend, and she kind of told this is us. Like, she made that connection between the show This Is Us and this one, which I didn't necessarily see. But then come to find out, like, a lot of producers share, kind of they're on both sets. So I can kind of see that connection. I don't know if you personally have been invested in that show too, and do you kind of see that parallel between you guys and them?
Yeah, I mean, well, Rachel Hilson is in the show also, on that show. So of course, like, we watched it. And Anthony Turpel also had a guest spot on it. So I've been keeping up a little bit.
Yeah. That's cool. One more.
Yeah.
One more question. You go ahead, Francesca.
Why do you think LGBT representation and diversity in film and TV matter, especially today?
I think it matters more than it ever has before. I find that I find it sad that we haven't told these stories sooner, but better late than never. I'm really glad that we are finally getting to tell these stories. I think it's important because there's so many people out there who are fearful of being who they are and who they want to be, because of fear of how they would be received by people, by their family, by their friends, by their work, like coworkers, whatever it may be. And it's just unfortunate that they don't feel like that they could be who they are because they don't see it around them, and that's why, Love Victor is so important, because it, again, like I've said, talks about the coming out process from different people's perspectives, and it gives people a reason to feel like they've been heard and they've been seen and they feel represented. And, it breaks my heart that there are people out there who, think that they're better off dead than being who they are. And I just hope that Love Victor can, save some of those people and make them feel like their story matters, because it does, because we're telling that story. And I just hope that, people take that and remember that and know that, like, maybe your family doesn't accept you, but if you have the right chosen family around you, I think that's a common theme in Love Victor, that, you will have the support system that you need. You surround yourself by the people who love you. So I think that it's important because there's just not enough stories like this being told yet. Love Victor is one of the first of its kind. And it's sad to me that it's only been like a year that we've been really telling these stories. So I think that it's important that we continue to push this narrative for young queer people out there so that they feel like their life matters. At the end of the day, we're all human. We're all here because we love each other, hopefully, and we deserve to love each other. So yeah, I think that's why it's important to continue telling these stories, especially to young people.
I mean, it's also a great month, to be telling these stories and be talking about this, the
Yeah.
show, because it is June, it's Gay Pride
Pride
Month.
Month.
Yeah, I love Pride Month. I think Pride Month is great, but I also don't think that it's enough time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pride Month is awesome because it's a time where we get to reflect and remember the accomplishments and achievements we've made as a community to, achieve security and equality for people of the LGBTQ plus community. However, I think it's also a reminder of the work that we still need to do, the work that still needs to be done in terms of, making sure people feel represented and respected. But yeah, I think Pride Month is nice. I just wish, it was Pride Year,
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing about this show is that you can stream it whenever, you can, it doesn't have to be just in this month. Like that is one great thing. What I did want to ask before is, since it is such a big like ensemble cast, were you on set with everybody at the same time? Like, did you get to meet all the actors? Because you do have like a lot of like very good, like you, for example, young up and coming actors, but then there's also a lot of big name, well-established actors also, like Mekhi Phifer and Betsy Brandt, and I think Josh Duhamel has an appearance. Yeah. Andy Richter is on there too. Like, did you get a chance to interact with any of them?
Yeah, I mean, I was there for a majority of the season. I wasn't in every episode, but there were some actors that I didn't get to actually have scenes with, like one-on-one dialogue with in scenes. But there was one scene, there was two scenes, the wedding scene and that hallway scene in episode 2 where Victor comes out to the whole school. The whole cast was there, at least the teen cast was. So I got to meet everyone then and talk to them and get to know them there. But unfortunately, most of my scenes were with, not unfortunately, I'm saying like, work with all of them because most of my scenes were with Michael or Isabella. But yeah, like for the wedding scene, I got to meet Sophia Bush and Mekhi Phifer, and I got to work with all of the cast pretty much. I have worked with everyone. I had a scene with Mateo too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have worked with everyone at some capacity. I haven't really like had much dialogue with all of them, but I have been in scenes with all of them, I think.
That's awesome, because Mekhi Phifer, personally, he's in one of my all-time favorite movies, Paid in Full. I don't know if you know that movie.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
really great guy. He's such a humble man and like really cool to work with. Really cool guy.
That's awesome, because he always he's got some. He's got a lot of history in like the Black and hip hop community because of movies like that. So like I've always been a huge fan of him, and to see him like pop up on the show was like, oh, I didn't expect it, but it's like awesome.
Yeah, we have a really killer guest cast, especially this season. Betsy Brandt, amazing.
Yeah,
she did so well as Felix's mom. Leslie Grossman, great. Julie Benz, who played Shelby. We didn't get to see much of her, but she was such a delight to work with. Yeah, we had a really amazing guest cast this season.
Sweet.
True. Anyway, going back to you, what were the life lessons or things you've learned in your career that you would like to share to aspiring actors or emerging actors like you?
Yeah, 90% of your job is waiting. It's a lot of waiting, a lot of work without recognition, a lot of work without pay at first. It's a lot of work, especially if you don't know people in the industry, because this industry is very famous for nepotism and favoritism. So it's really hard for people who aren't connected to break through and get, themselves out there. But, if you can take anything from my story, is that I didn't have any connections. We barely had any money. We were the last family in the world that should have been putting their kid into acting. But I had a dream, and my parents sacrificed a lot so that they could get me there. And I put in a lot of work. As a kid, I sacrificed a lot of life experiences, a lot of extracurricular activities, a lot of friendships in middle school, high school, because I wanted to be a part of this industry. So if you are a young, aspiring actor out there, I think that's amazing. I'm so happy that this is your dream. But you need to know there's a lot of work you got to put into it. I mean, if it's something that you're really passionate about, you'll do it happily. But just know that, some people, make it big really fast. But for people like us, it takes some time. So just be patient, keep putting in the work, keep, practicing your craft, keep making connections, keep networking, just put in the work. And then eventually you'll see like the seeds you planted 4 or 5 years ago are finally starting to bloom, like, for example, Love Victor. I was really blessed that they were interested in me for season 2, but I might not have gotten an audition for season 2 if I hadn't auditioned in season 1 and done such a good job at that audition. It's a lot of work that you put into that you don't realize, but will have an effect on you later on in your career. People remember, if you do a good job. You might not book the job right away, but if you do a good job, casting will like you and remember you and think about you for something that you might be better suited for. So don't be discouraged when you don't get a job, when you don't get a call back or whatever. As long as you do a good job, the casting director says that was a great job, take that as a win and just move on to the next. 90% of your job's waiting. That's all it is. And then when you get that 10% of finally making it or making some money or doing whatever job it is, you'll be so much more grateful for it because of the amount of work that you had to put in to get there. That's my advice for any young actors out there.
It's great advice.
Very well said. You just summarized the whole journey of an aspiring artist in Hollywood. Amazing.
I've been doing those 5, and I've just recently started to see, the fruits of my labor in my adulthood. Like, it takes some time. But it makes it so much more worth it. I see a lot of actors who, just fall into it or are given a part in something and they shoot to stardom and they don't know how to handle it and they don't appreciate it. And that's unfortunate to me because this industry is so magical. It's so exciting and it's so awesome. But people don't see it because they think it comes too easy. So when you put in the work and you really do take time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears into putting something together, making something, whatever, whether it be a tape, an audition, or a short film that you make, have it done. Once you finally get to where you want to be in your next goal, you're able to take that and really appreciate it for what it is, more so than if it was just handed to you. And that's why I'm really grateful that I didn't like shoot to stardom really fast or like become super famous. Like, I love that. It was a slow burn, and I love that so much because I learned a lot during that time. So don't be discouraged if it takes too long. It takes forever for some people. I worked with an actress when I was 9 years old on this film called The Space Between. Her name was Melissa Leo. She had been acting for decades, and didn't receive her first award or nomination until she was in her 50s.
Yeah.
And that is really that is the story of an actor. It's just you wait until finally, you're given that chance. And I feel like there's room for everyone in this industry. There's so much content being put out. There's so much representation now, and it's only going to get exponentially bigger. So if you have a dream, follow it. But know that it takes a lot of hard work and time. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Perfect answer right there.
That's true. It's all about the journey after all.
Absolutely. 1000%. Yeah. I'm so much more grateful for the experiences and journeys and amounts of rejection and lessons that I've learned in the past 16 years of my career. So much more grateful for that than any job that I've ever had. Seriously.
With that said, what kind of roles do you want to take on in the future?
I want to continue taking on roles that accurately represent my own heritage. I love that I get to play whatever character. I get to put on a hat,
Yeah.
and change how I talk, change how I dress. You know, I love that. And I love getting to play characters and people of different backgrounds and stuff. I love learning about that. But I've never really been able to play characters that are like me. So I hope that in the future, that I continue to play characters that are accurate to me, that are representative of my own heritage. I'm hoping one day I get an audition for that Filipino show.
I think so.
I would be play a Filipino on screen. I think I could die happy if I get to do that. So that's my goal. That's what I hope for. That's what I'm going to work towards.
Now that you said that, I might actually just write a role for you.
You know
Now
what?
we could make a script. Now let's do that. Filipino represent.
I'll take it. You know what?
Yeah.
My people will talk to your people.
Yeah. It's our time to shine. It's been too long.
And we've been on the back burner for way too long. So
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind as an actor?
I hope that when I leave this world, people can look back on the work that I've done and be proud of it. And people can look back on the work that I've done and feel like I've helped them in some way.
Mhm.
I've never really been in this industry for the money or the fame. Like, you can ask my publicist. I really don't like doing press or any of that kind of stuff or being on social media.
Right.
I'm here because I love my job and I love the craft. So, wait, what was the question? I lost my train of thought.
What legacy do you want to leave as an actor? I mean, you pretty much answered it, you know.
Yeah, that's really what I hope. I want to leave this planet having helped people with my art. That's as simple as I can put it.
Exactly.
Well, I think you've taken definitely a great first step with the projects that you've done so far, and especially with, you know, the show that just came out. Season 2 is great, and I don't want to spoil things for people, but it does leave on a huge kind of cliffhanger for people. And, you know, I'm pulling for you for next season, man. So hopefully we get to see a lot more of you in the future.
I'm hoping for a season 3 pickup. I feel like these stories are not done being told yet.
No, there's still a lot of room for more, you know, and I think if anything, this season showed that there's still more room for more. And I think you guys did a really good job of integrating everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have any upcoming projects that you want to share with us?
As of right now, I'm unemployed. Like I said,
you're in that 90% waiting period right now, you know?
90%, yeah.
I've just been auditioning right now and taping and stuff. I'm writing a lot more than I ever have before. I've finally taken the time writing a TV pilot in the future. And that's been going pretty well. So who knows, maybe in a couple years you'll see me as a showrunner or something.
100%.
Awesome.
I agree with that. Well, good luck with all of your future projects, and congratulations on the success of the show.
Definitely.
Really groundbreaking for the LGBT community and for everyone really watching on both sides. It's very life-changing, I would say. So thank you for being part of, you know, telling that story and being the game changer.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you guys for taking this time to talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for joining us. I think you have an extremely bright future, and after watching this, I'm sure that you won't be waiting for too much longer for more work, and you know we'll definitely be looking out and can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. I had a really, really great time talking to all of you.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank
Appreciate
you for your
it,
time.
Right.
We'll see you around.
Yes, definitely. And
all right.
That script, you better send it to me, Francesca.
I got you. All right.
Great weekend.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.